Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good
Yes,
afternoon.
ma'am.
And you're able to see the slides on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, then. We'll begin with today's session. Just before we begin, I need to tell you that the session is going to be recorded, just so you know. Right. Some of you might be new here. You may not have attended the last two sessions that we had on resume writing. And I know that throughout the session, I'm going to get questions about where can you get the session, how can we see the session, etc. So let me just clarify this beforehand. You don't need to have seen the last two sessions in order to make sense of this session. You can come in here freshly, that's fine. In order to catch up on the last sessions, you can refer to the YouTube links given in your course calendar. Just a second, Suhail. You can refer to the YouTube links given in the course calendar. The sessions have already been uploaded to YouTube. You can watch the sessions on YouTube. Right. About requesting access, you do not need to request access. It's a playlist link. Okay? It's a playlist link. So you can just copy paste the link and you will be able to access the session on YouTube. You do not have to request drive access. Even if you request, you might not get drive access, which is why I'm telling you that you do not have to do this. Now, in case anybody is having difficulty with the links, you can also refer to our, yeah, you can also refer to our discussion forum, our discourse forum, where somebody has actually raised the question about the links to the resume writing sessions. And the links have been posted there in response to the query as well. So you can easily access it either from the calendar or from the discourse forum question. You just have to find the question and you'll see the links in response to the question. Does that sufficiently address your queries or possible queries regarding the last two sessions? Right. Let's go on with today's session then. My name is Tessa, and I'll be facilitating this session for you. And these two sessions will be on interview skills. Remember, the last two sessions were on resume writing. You write a resume in order to make an application, and if your resume is really good and you make it to the short list, then you will be called in for an interview. So we're going from resume writing to what are the things that you should take care of if you are called in for an interview. Why do we have these interviews? Why do we have interviews for everything nowadays? If you're applying for a job, you need an interview. If you're applying for scholarships, you need an interview. Competitive exams, after you clear the preliminary round, you will have an interview. Sometimes, even for events like weddings, you have interviews. Just why? Okay? You need to be ready for an interview regardless of what purpose the interview is going to serve in your life. Because at the end of the day, an interview is just an opportunity for someone to get to know you person to person and maybe also assess how compatible you are with them or with their company or for the job profile which they have advertised. So, an interview is essentially just a tool whereby somebody can see how well you fit into a role. And it can be any role. Okay? Let's imagine that you wrote a splendid resume. You were shortlisted for an interview. You finally got the call. Now, what do you do? Just give me a second. Right. Before you go into an interview, you need to have something called a self reassessment. There are several assessment tools available to us all around us. Your exam, for instance, any assignment that you submit, for instance, even your resume is an assessment tool, but it's not a self assessment, right? Self assessment is where you look back into your own self. You think back about yourself. And why are you thinking back about yourself? You need to identify which are the things that are not negotiable for you. Non negotiable things are those things on which you're not willing to compromise. For example, if you study data science, you might have certain preferences as to what you want to do as a career. Sometimes you might have preferences concerning how much you should be paid for the work that you do. Sometimes you might have preferences concerning the place of work. Only you will be able to know what are the things that are not negotiable to you. So it is very important to ask yourself what are the things that you're not willing to compromise on. Because ultimately, knowing this is going to help you determine whether or not you're right for a particular job. You should also be able to identify your strengths. There are certain things that you bring to the table, that you offer as benefits to your employer. You should be aware of these things. What are your strengths? Why are you so much more better than anybody else for this particular job? Are there some things which make you the most well aligned candidate for this particular job description or company? Now, alignment is not exactly how qualified you are. Alignment or fit, how much you fit into a particular company or a group, concerns certain things other than qualifications or skills. So you're asking yourself, would you fit into the work culture of this company? Do you align with the value system of this company? Is this a group of which you would like to be a part? So, how do you know if you are a good fit? In order to know whether or not you're a good fit, you should have already done a significant amount of research into the company. You should be able to identify what the core values that this company stands for are. What is the work culture like? What will your colleagues be like? So you can look into your work partners, who are the people with whom you'll be working. Okay? Maybe your supervisor. Could be some people in your team. You could have a quick background check. You could even get in touch with them. You could build a rapport with them. But most importantly, you could understand whether or not you will be a valuable addition to this particular team. That is the intention behind this quick background check, this company research. Because one of the most important things that you need to identify before you go into an interview, in front of an interview panel, is whether or not you are a good fit for this particular JD. JD is job description. The interview is not a battle. The interview is simply a communicative process. You are just trying to tell someone some things about yourself. You are answering questions about yourself. So you just need to know how to tackle certain questions about yourself in a skillful manner. In order to be able to efficiently answer these questions, you should be aware of what exactly you've put into your resume, your cover letter, and the job description for which you're applying. We already discussed while we were going through our resume writing workshop that sometimes we might attach a cover letter along with the resume, and that both the cover letter and the resume are customized in order to prove that we are the best aligned candidate for this particular job description. So we should once again refresh our memory as to what has gone into our resume. We should note each minute point in our resume and our cover letter. This allows us to anticipate certain questions. Even the slightest bit of information on your resume can be picked out and can become the matter for a question. Your resume gives your interviewer the material based on which they can query you, which means if you are aware of what exactly you've put into your resume, you will be able to anticipate a good amount of questions which you might receive as a part of this interview. Interview questions fall under several categories. Some of these categories are classic HR questions. Things like, tell me a bit about yourself. Or can you tell me a little bit about your family? There are some behavioral questions. Behavioral questions place us in a certain situation in order to assess how we might behave in that situation. There are hard skills or tech skills questions. There might be guesstimates, case questions, etc. We will consider each of these types in detail as we go along, but these are some of the kind of questions which we can anticipate. So, with regard to whatever we have added to our resume, we can understand what kind of questions we might receive from the interview panel. In addition to all of this, you can also prepare questions to ask the interviewers. When you ask questions to an interviewer, your questions should not be flippant questions, silly questions. They should not also be just questions concerning how much will I earn. So these should be well researched questions. The interviewer should be able to see how keenly interested you are in that particular job position by virtue of the question that you ask them. Okay? Now I'm going to take a short pause here and invite any questions that you might have at this point. Something that I need to address. Concerning the categories of questions, we will look at those in detail as we go along. Anything else that you want to add or anything else that you feel like, do you feel like this workshop is absolutely unnecessary? Any comments that you want to make here? Do you understand what I'm telling you? You do understand. Okay, that's very good news for me. Right, we'll go ahead then. We don't use the same CV or resume in order to apply for all job applications. So before you go into an interview or go in front of an interview panel, you need to have that exact resume which you used to apply for this particular job position. Sometimes we are so desperate in our applications that we forget to change small details. We forget to customize our CV adequately. So there might be certain details which are not exactly required for a job description in the resume that you have used. This is not justifiable, but life is such that this might also happen. Okay? So if this happens, we need to be aware of this before we go into the interview. It shouldn't take us by surprise when an unrelated question takes us or is posed to us by the interview panel. So we should know exactly what resume we have used in order to make this application. We should be aware of each minute detail in that resume, and you should be prepared to see each of those details turned into questions and posed to you during the span of the interview. Sometimes we make claims in our resume. We make claims which we might not have sufficiently backed up. For example, if we have made a claim which cannot be easily quantified, something like, let's say, you are an excellent communicator, for instance, or that you have a great skill for problem solving. However, these are not things that are not that are quantifiable. So you might not have been able to include any figure in order to prove that you do indeed possess this skill. This is your opportunity in order to back up all such claims using examples from your own life. For example, within the first 2 minutes of an interviewer will be easily able to identify whether or not you are an excellent communicator. Okay? So if you claim to be an excellent communicator, yet the manner in which you communicate does not really show or demonstrate that you are very good at communicating, then your resume will turn out to be an empty claim. Okay? If you claim that you're very good at problem solving, but when they present a case to you are not able to solve the problem in that case, then they will immediately understand that your problem solving skills were just an exaggeration. So you should know how to back up the claims that you have made in your resume before you walk in front of an interview panel or an interviewer. I say panel because sometimes interviews are conducted by a panel of judges. There might be more than one person. Sometimes interviews are conducted just by one person. In that case, it would just be one interviewer. Okay? There's also one thing, an activity that you can do in order to help you understand or help you get acclimated to the process of an interview. You can put yourself in your recruiter's shoes. What does that mean? It means you can imagine that you are the recruiter here. You're not the applicant here. Just imagine that you are the recruiter here. And then from that perspective, just take a look at your resume. If you are the recruiter, then when you look at your resume, what are the points that you might pick on? Okay? What are the points which you would like an applicant to elaborate on? Whatever points you think are worthy of your attention might also be worthy of your interviewer's attention. Okay? That is why this is a helpful exercise. It is a helpful exercise to imagine that you are the interviewer or the recruiter and pick out points on your own resume which might need further elaboration. Right. Interviews have classic sets of questions. HR questions, classic HR questions, behavioral questions, hard skills or tech skills questions, and some questions which might catch you off guard. Some questions which you cannot prepare for at all. They do not fall into any category. They're just completely out of the book questions. For example, in one of my interviews, I was asked, do you believe in God? And then I gave an answer. And then there was also a follow up question. What is God to you? None of these are questions that you can anticipate. These will be questions that catch you off guard. In another interview, I was asked, "Are you sick?" Once again, the intention here is that you might get a question which might derail you for a bit, but you should not get derailed. You should retain your composure, you should remain composed, and you should be able to address the question in a respectful yet skillful manner, in a diplomatic manner. Okay? That is why they ask such questions which might catch you off guard. Understand that all of these questions are not intended to attack you. They just want to elicit a response from you. Because whenever you work in a group, you will be required to respond to several things, several situations, several people. And not all of these situations and people might be favorable to you. So you should be able to conduct yourself diplomatically in those situations. Right. HR questions. These are very easy to anticipate, but these are not very easy to answer. In order to answer these questions, you should know yourself very well. Sometimes we know a lot of things, but we don't know ourselves at all. That is why a self reassessment is very important before you go into an interview. They might ask a question like, "Tell me about yourself." And it looks like such an innocent question, an innocuous question, just an icebreaker, right? But it's not. Because the manner in which you describe yourself can tell a lot about you as a person to your interviewer. So, if you need to answer this question, you can use certain strategies. You can decide in advance which of your skills and career highlights are best suited for this particular job. Okay? There might be some aspects of our personality, our training, or our career which fit this job description very well. So when you answer, you need to highlight those aspects of your life, of your experience. And when you highlight these aspects, you should be able to put this in the form of a story. Here is something that you should know at this point. Why is communication so important? Do you know? Nobody likes to listen to sentences. It's terrifying to talk to people because nobody will pay attention to sentences. The only thing people will listen to is a story. So, unless you are able to put your own life, your career, your experiences in the form of a very interesting story, you will not be able to grab the attention of your interviewer. So, decide what parts of your life you want to highlight. Highlight those parts of your life in the form of a story. Okay? It's also very easy to just repeat the things that are already there in your resume. That should not be the case. Remember, they've already seen your resume at this point. But there might be something, some clues in the job description, which can tip you off. They can let you know that the interviewer has a particular kind of need. If, for example, a content writing job has also advertised for some amount of designing skills. This is just a crude example. I'm not able to give examples from your field per se because I do not come from your field. So adapt and understand, okay? Then you are able to immediately grasp the fact that this recruiter wants somebody who will not just write content, but who can also present the content or design the content in order to present it in an attractive form. So you know what the need there is. If you know the need there, then you can easily fill the need by citing a few examples from your life where you have designed something or the other. right? Where you have mastered some kind of a designing software or the other. This immediately speaks to your recruiter's needs. So your story can have elements which are already indicated in the job description, and your career can be included into your story such that each need specified by the job description can be filled by this candidate. This candidate here is you. Okay? You can also use a formula when you are trying to answer an HR question. This formula is called a present, past, future formula. Why present, past, future? This is very interesting actually. Even when I was saying it, I had a tendency to start with past. We all have a tendency to start with the past. But now we are countering that tendency and we are starting with the present. You are starting with the most recent job position or the responsibility that you've held. I currently work as, or I recently graduated from. My most recent project is. The advantage of starting with the present is that you get to say where you are right now. In a lot of ways, your interview hinges on where you are right now. What kind of a position do you handle at the moment? How much of salary do you draw at the moment? Because the salary that you might be offered in this job for which you're applying might also be in relation to the kind of salary that you're drawing right now. Okay? So it gives you an opportunity to start with the present. What sort of responsibilities do you handle at the moment? What post are you employed in at the moment? And then you get to go back to the past. Let's say you worked for 2 years. You start with your most recent job. Then you go back to your educational qualifications. I graduated from this university in this year with this degree. I had won the award for the best outgoing student. Maybe, maybe not. If you've not won any such awards, you can also say, as a part of my master's project, I completed such and such a task, which demonstrates your expertise or your skill in certain kinds of tools which you might need even in this job. And then you can go into your future, where this job is your future. Okay? So you can say that the next best thing for you to do, the logical step to which your career is going to proceed hereafter, is by taking up this job, which is going to greatly benefit your career, which is going to greatly enhance your skills, which is going to be exactly how you had envisioned your career or your future to grow. Okay? All of these indicate to your employer that you are not just making an application, you are viewing this job position as a significant milestone in your career and you are logically tracing your way to this particular job opportunity. Right. I'm going to give you a small activity now. I want you to describe your career or your life, your education so far using the present, past, future formula. Maybe 3 to 4 sentences. Okay? Using 3 to 4 sentences, describe your career or your education or your educational trajectory so far using the present, past, future formula. Take 2 minutes, work on this, and then tell me the answer. Did everybody understand the question? You guys are very, very quiet today, which is worrying me. Did you understand the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Describe your own life or your career trajectory, your educational trajectory using the present, past, future formula. 3 to 4 sentences. Take 2 minutes and give me an answer. I'll call out names. If you do not want to speak when I call out your name, that's fine. Just tell me you do not want to speak. Okay, that's fine. Yes, Aparna, go on.
Ma'am,
Wait.
I had a doubt, so I can ask it right now
Yes.
or a bit later.
No, no, go on. Ask.
Ma'am, it was about that you mentioned, no, that you can present uh, our skills and career highlights in the form of a story. So,
Yeah.
how do we actually go about it? I mean, how can we convert all those things into a story, actually?
So, whenever you're trying to present your life as a story, you're present as in not your current moment, wherever you are right now. Okay? That should be the high point of the story. Okay? So, you kind of trace back whatever experiences that you've had so far, such that all the experiences or education that you've had so far allowed you to progress to this present moment. At the present moment, you might be a recent graduate, you might be handling a position of responsibility, you might be working as something or the other, but you should be able to tell the story such that that present current moment is the high point of your life. Everything else leads up to it. This is what I meant by story. For example, I can, if I were to construct my career trajectory so far as a story, I could say I currently work, or maybe I could start with the exact moment where I'm right now. I currently facilitate workshop sessions for students of data science and programming at IIT Madras. Okay, this is my present. And then I go back. I look at myself as somebody who communicates things effectively and efficiently to others so as to help them develop their own communication skills. Throughout my education, I have trained myself in order to build my skills in this particular direction. I graduated and slowly going back into my past, if you can see. I started with my present, now I'm slowly going back into my past. I graduated with an integrated master's degree in English studies from IIT Madras in the year 2020. In my graduating batch, I received Professor A.V. Krishna Rao Memorial Award for Best Academic Performance in English Studies. I look at my education, that 5 years of I'm sorry, I just had something to do for a second. I'm really sorry, I got distracted. I look at my education, those 5 years of intense training, as a period which allowed me to develop into the person I am right now. Let's imagine I'm making an application for the post of an assistant professor. Okay? In addition to the fact that I have received training in English studies, I greatly value the experience that I have had in interacting with students and in communicating complex theories to them, perhaps in a simple and accessible manner. These are experiences in my life which I greatly value and which I intend to put into action in this job for which I'm applying. I do not know if this was a very coherent way of putting my own life, but this is what I mean by a story. It's not
Yes, ma'am, I
exactly
got
a
it.
story, but you start with your life at the present moment, which you treat as the high point. You slowly go back into your past, bring together each bit of experience or training that you've had in your past, such that all of it kind of adds into your present. And then you locate this particular application which you're making as the future into which you're looking forward. Is that clear? I hope that is clear.
Yes, ma'am, I got it. Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
you're welcome. Right, now I hope you guys have had some time to prepare while I was blabbing. Atulya, can you tell me? Can you describe your life maybe in a few sentences using the present, past, future formula?
Yes, ma'am. I am. I may begin.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Uh, I am currently in the second term of my IITM BS degree in data science, and I have completed my 12th standard in KH Patil College, College of Science and Commerce in Hubli, and with the skills of with the interest in the modern day of AI and machine learning, I have enrolled myself in the this degree, which is also aligned with my goals in machine learning and data science. So so that in future I could so that in future I could just be mm, be in this field.
That was not bad. Very good, Atulya. I mean, you got such little time to prepare, and that was a very good way of using the formula.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else? Yes, Maria. Would you like to try? Somebody raised a hand. Would you like to try just Maria? Ma'am, I'm not the person who raised the hand. That's okay, just Maria. You do not have to be the person who raised the hand. You can still go ahead if you would like to talk. If, on the other hand, you do not want to talk, that is understandable. And I'm in a crowded place to speak. Okay, no worries, no worries. Anybody else? It's okay. Don't worry, don't worry. Mayuresh. Is that Mayuresh? Yes, Mayuresh Vikas Pharote. Would you like to try Mayuresh? Chetna, would you like to try?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go on then.
I am currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in data science at IIT Madras and also shaping my skills in problem solving and coding. Before this, I completed my 12th grade and 10th grade from Kendra Vidyalaya CTPP Chavada, and where I developed a strong foundation in mathematics and science, which eventually led to my passion for data science and technology. In the next few years, I am I aim to secure a job at a leading company as a data science where can apply my technical skills to real world problems. Thank you.
That was very good, Chetna. You guys really did understand what I meant by the present, past, future formula. Okay. Now, when it concerns our future, we might not always know what it is then. Did somebody want to say something? Somebody has been, very surreptitiously raising their hand and then lowering their hand. If you want to say something, raise the hand. That's fine.
No, I raised my hand to, reply to the previous question, but then I guess that you have, proceeded to the next part.
Which previous question? You
No,
wanted to
this
use
present
the
past.
formula. Yeah, go
Yeah.
on. Go on, Aparna. That's fine. Go on. Tell me.
So because I was, you know, uh, conversing with you earlier, so I just prepared a very odd one. So
That's okay. I mean, people who converse with me do turn out to be quite odd. Go on.
yeah, so I'm currently pursuing my BS in Data Science and Applications from IIT Madras and subsequently pursuing certification in French from IGNO. Till now, I did my school graduation with physics, chemistry, biology, and computational science from Xavier Stepper. Um, I'm also pursuing some courses of neuroscience and subsequently getting myself into the newsletters of neuroscience so as to reach my aim of being a computational neuroscientist. And I hope that all these educational qualifications of mine help me to reach the specified goal I mentioned.
Yes, very good. Everybody who spoke did very well. Now, I was just trying to tell you more about the future bit. About the future bit, we might not always know what it is that future holds for us. So, whatever it is that you see in the job description, try to construct your narrative such that that is something you look forward to doing. If, for example, going by my own example of an application for the post of an assistant professor, where I will be teaching undergraduates who study English literature, because that is my field, not because I want you to do that. If that is something that I am applying for, then I could also mention that I greatly look forward to handling this position where I can bring in the next generation into my field of English literature in this age when humanities is waning in importance, because I do truly care about the continuation of this discipline. Okay? So here you're kind of putting yourself in the job description. You are trying to locate yourself as a part of the job description, but you are claiming that it is a personal goal. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think you understand what I mean. Right. You are aligning yourself with the job description, but you're also claiming that this is your personal goal, your intention, exactly what you want to do with your life. Okay? That builds a lot of credibility in terms of an interview or in terms of an application. There can be other HR questions. So far, we've been dealing with questions that concern ourselves, like tell me a little bit about yourself. Other questions can concern the company. They can ask you questions like, why have you made this application? Why have you chosen this particular company? A lot of you guys have preferred companies, right? You're always very conscious about what enterprise you want to work for. In that case, you can easily expect this particular question of why have you chosen this company? You can answer this question very effectively if you have done some amount of company research. And I think you are very good with company research. If you've done some amount of company research, you'll be able to easily tell them what project of theirs has caught your interest or your attention? What activity of the company or what value of the company do you want to get behind? Right? In what aspect do you think you will be able to make your best contributions? All of these can be answered if you do some company research. You can focus on specific things like what is this company's mission? What is this setting out to achieve? What kind of customers does this company cater to? What kind of impact does this company have? For example, if you are an architect and you are trying to make an application to an architectural firm, then you can easily craft your answer in relation to the kind of impact that buildings can have on people's lives. This can be in relation to a place of housing, it can be in relation to a place of business. Buildings can greatly add value and meaning to people's lives. People build spaces for specific intentions. It can have a lot of emotional value, right? So you can add all of these into your answer. If somebody asks you a question like, where do you see yourself in 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, maybe, you can answer that question by once again aligning your personal goals with the company's goals. This is also a great opportunity for you to demonstrate that you are a very ambitious person. You do not just intend to take this job and stagnate. You want progression in your career. Okay? So you can easily put in your desire for career progression as a part of this answer. Other HR questions include what are your strengths or weaknesses? Once again, decide beforehand what strengths you want to highlight. Now, when it comes to weaknesses, that can be slightly more tricky because you need to be very careful about what weakness you're choosing. We all have weaknesses. Don't make claims like, I have no weakness. You do have weaknesses, and you know that, right? But the point that you want to emphasize here is I have a weakness, but I am working on it. And I think that having this weakness and constantly working on it makes me more self aware. It also makes me more empathetic. It makes me more fit in order to work in a team. This is a weakness that I am constantly trying to rectify. Okay? So you do not have to you do not have to choose your most feared secret here. Okay? You do not have to bring out all of your greatest fears here. You just have to cite one weakness. For example, you can go with something like, let's say, uh, sometimes I procrastinate, and all of my work is done in the n-1 minute. Okay, that might be a weakness, and then you can easily also paint the weakness in a positive light. But I do not think that this impacts the quality of my work. Why? Because I spend a lot of time deliberating on or thinking about what it is that I want to do. I just don't do it immediately. I wait until the last moment to actually get to work, but that doesn't mean I'm not thinking about my work. I'm constantly tweaking my own process, right? And when I do work, I put myself under just the right amount of stress such that I can produce results effectively and efficiently in a time bound manner. Despite the fact that I do most of my work in the last minute, n-1 refers to the moment before the last moment. Okay? N-1, n would be the last one, right? N minus
Okay.
1 is the moment just before the last moment.
Great.
Okay. I put myself under just the right amount of stress in order to produce effective and efficient outcomes. Okay? So, see what we're doing here. We have a weakness. We admit that we have a weakness, but we also try to paint it in a positive light. And we are not lying, right? All of you who have a habit of procrastination know that every word I've spoken right now is true. You do think about your work, you do get to work in the last moment, and you do put yourself under stress, and yet you do meet deadlines, right? So you can paint your weakness in a positive light. You don't have to dig out your deepest secrets. That's once again, let me emphasize that. Be careful about what weakness you choose. Choose your weakness cleverly and craft your narrative smartly. Okay? How would your best friend describe you? There is a small typographic error there. I apologize for that. How would your best friend describe you? Right? These are all questions that you can answer if you know yourself well enough. What is the most important problem that the industry is facing today? It requires some amount of industry research in addition to the company research. Now, it would be very wise of you to answer this question by linking the problem with any project that the company is doing at the moment. Okay? Which indicates that you are aware of the industry problem, you're also aware of the solutions to it, you are also very good at identifying ways in which this company can intervene into the problem. Okay? It's a very smart move. So there's a problem, there is a project that the company is undertaking, you connect the two. You've gone through the company's website. Which of our ongoing projects are you most interested in contributing to and how? Once again, company research. Right. The next set of questions is called behavioral questions. Behavioral questions put you in a particular situation. It can be a real situation which you've experienced, it can be an imagined situation. Tell me about your last internship experience. Was there anything you did not like about it? Tell me about a time when you were tolerant of an opinion that was different from yours. Tell us about one time you ran into a problem when leading a team. How did you overcome it? How do you deal with uncertainty? How receptive are you to feedback and criticism? How do you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity? All of these are questions which can expose certain weaknesses in our character and in our work ethic. Okay? So, when you are answering a behavioral question, understand that there are certain qualities which you must highlight about yourself. Your positive thinking, your positive attitude, your persistence, how persuasive you can be. For example, if somebody disagrees with you, you can be persuasive. You can persuade them to also take into account your opinion, right? Or your approach to something. Prioritizing. For example, when there are too many tasks to be done, too many tasks, and it is really impacting your work, the quality of your work. How can you prioritize tasks? When you are leading a team, there is a disagreement within the team. How can you prioritize tasks as well as the work ethic or the togetherness, the bonhomie of the team? How can you delegate tasks such that the conflict does not impact the outcome? Updating. When you are leading a team, sometimes there can be miscommunication. So it is very important to update both your team members as well as your superiors. You make a mistake, for instance. How quickly did you recover from it? Did you learn anything from it? Were you able to move forward from the mistake? All of these are qualities of yours which you can highlight when you are answering a behavioral question. When you are answering a question about somebody who did not like your opinion, Remember to not speak of them in a bad light. Always state the case clearly. There was a disagreement. What was the disagreement? State it clearly. Communicate that professionally. We had a disagreement, but we also had a discussion concerning it. Okay? I presented my approach or my opinions to them. Together, we arrived at a compromise or at a positive resolution. You arrived at a positive resolution so as to be able to work together and to achieve a group goal, an organizational goal. You're not trying to prioritize yourself, you're prioritizing the group. When you are answering a behavioral question, you can use the STARS method: situation, task, action, result, skills method. Okay? We will discuss the
Yes.
STARS. Did somebody have a question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We will discuss the STARS method in detail in our next class because we only have 3 minutes left and I want to leave some time in order to address any queries that you might have. I just want to recap quickly. Classic HR questions, we had a formula. What was that formula?
Pres- Present, past, and future.
Present, past, and future. You tell it as a story where your present is the high point and the future is what you're looking forward to. Okay? Present, past, and future. And for behavioral questions, you have a different formula, which is the STARS method: situation, task, action, result, and skills. We will discuss this in detail in our next session. For today, we are concluding. Any questions, any queries, any comments that you want to make? Any inputs, any changes that you want? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Just yes, ma'am, nothing else.
I have something which is not related to a company interview, but related to a interview which is for around 5 days. Like, I
Interview which
think
is around 5 days.
this is, I think, quite off topic for this session. I think it's about the SSP.
It's about what? I don't understand you. Can you be a little louder?
SSPs.
It's about SSPs. Okay.
The exam
What
which you have to qualify, the interview which you have to qualify to become an armed forces.
Right. Okay. Okay. So this might be off topic. Is there any question that is specifically concerned with the interview itself? Something that might be more within the topic?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Nothing. Right. That's all right then. Anybody has any other concerns or queries? All right then. Thank you all for joining today. We'll
Thank
continue.
you.
We'll
Thank you,
continue
ma'am.
with. You're welcome. We'll continue with this session tomorrow. I hope this was beneficial to you. I hope to see you tomorrow as well. Thank you for joining, and that's it for today.
Tomorrow's session is the
Thanks a lot.
last session, I think.
Tomorrow's session is the last session.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. Those of you who are done can leave. Please feel free to
Thank
leave.
you.
You're welcome. I just need to take a question that I've got here. You will get the recording on YouTube. The link to the YouTube playlist can be found on your course calendar. But this session's recording might not be uploaded immediately. Once the workshop sessions are done, this session's recording will also be uploaded to the YouTube playlist. The link to the playlist can be found on the course calendar. Right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.